My name is Ethan, and like many men, I believed I had it all figured out. I had a beautiful wife, Megan, two wonderful children, and a steady job that paid the bills. We were living the American dream. Or so I thought. From the outside, our life seemed perfect, but I now know that appearances can be deceiving. In my heart, I held on to the belief that love was meant to be unwavering, that bad women should be punished for their betrayals, and that there were loyal women out there, like Megan. I often reassured myself with the thought that my wife would never stray. I had invested everything into our relationship, and the idea of infidelity felt like a distant nightmare that happened to others, not to me. I dreamed of a future where our children would grow up in a happy home, learning the values of trust and fidelity. It was this dream that kept me grounded, motivating me to work hard and provide for my family. The thought of my wife ever cheating on me felt like a far-fetched scenario, something I could easily dismiss. After all, I was a good husband, supportive, attentive, and deeply committed to my family. But beneath that surface of certainty lay an unsettling tension. I noticed subtle changes in Megan's behavior. Late nights at work, her phone constantly buzzing with notifications, and the way she would sometimes pull away from me. I brushed them off as mere stress from her recent promotion at work, convincing myself that everything was just fine. After all, I was her husband. I knew her better than anyone. Little did I know, my belief bubble was about to shatter, and the reality I had built my life around was about to come crashing down. As the weeks went by after Megan's promotion, I began to notice signs that I couldn't ignore, even though I desperately wanted to. There were moments of laughter that seemed forced, brief exchanges that lacked the warmth we once shared. I would come home to find her glued to her phone, her face illuminated by its screen, and yet there was a wall between us that I couldn't breach. I rationalized it all away. She was busy, stressed from her new role, and needed time to adjust. The signs were subtle but unmistakable. Our date nights, once cherished moments of intimacy, became less frequent, and I could feel the emotional distance growing. I tried to initiate conversations about her day, her work, but my questions were often met with vague responses and distracted nods. My heart sank with each passing day, but I clung to the belief that this was just a phase. After all, every marriage faces challenges, right? One evening, I decided to surprise her with a romantic dinner. I set the table, lit candles, and even made her favorite meal. I wanted to remind her of the love we once had. As she walked in, the faintest smile graced her lips, but it felt different. It was as if she was just going through the motions, and I could sense her mind was elsewhere. When I pressed her about work, she quickly changed the subject, her eyes darting away from mine. The unease in my gut intensified, yet I ignored it. I told myself that maybe I was being overly sensitive, that I should give her space. Deep down, I suspected something was off, but confronting that feeling was terrifying. I wanted to trust her, to believe in the life we had built together. I convinced myself that everything would return to normal once she settled into her new job. Little did I know, I was standing at the edge of a cliff, teetering on the brink of a revelation that would change everything. I felt trapped in a whirlwind of denial, desperately hoping that my instincts were wrong. It was a late Tuesday night when I stumbled upon the truth, one that would shatter my world and leave me questioning everything I thought I knew. I had been restless, tossing and turning in bed, while Megan slept beside me. My mind raced with doubts, and the uneasy feeling gnawed at me. In a moment of desperation, I reached for her phone, lying carelessly on the bedside table, a faint glow illuminating the darkness. What happened next was a blur. I felt a mix of guilt and urgency, knowing I was crossing a line, but unable to suppress the urge to know the truth. As I scrolled through her messages, the reality of her betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut. There, in black and white, were messages filled with affection, flirtation, and plans to meet. A conversation with her colleague that laid bare everything I feared. My heart raced as I read the words that felt like daggers piercing through my soul. It was as if I was watching a train wreck in slow motion, unable to look away as everything I believed shattered into a million pieces. Megan had justified her actions by claiming she lacked attention. But those words felt like salt in a wound I didn't even know I had. I confronted her right there, the betrayal burning in my chest. She awoke to my anguished voice, confusion flooding her face as she processed my questions. The ensuing argument was a chaotic mix of anger and heartache, each word further driving a wedge between us. I struggled to reconcile the woman I loved with the one who had betrayed me. The emotional turmoil was unbearable. My mind raced with thoughts of our children, our family, and the dreams we had shared. I felt trapped in a web of despair, wondering how everything had gone so wrong. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a complete upheaval of my life, leaving me grappling with the reality of what had just been revealed. In the days that followed the confrontation, I found myself trapped in a whirlwind of emotions, each one more powerful than the last. Acceptance felt like an elusive concept, slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. I wanted to believe that Megan's betrayal was a mistake, a moment of weakness that could be forgiven, but my heart screamed otherwise. The love I had for her now felt tainted, overshadowed by the pain of betrayal. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see her with him, laughing, sharing intimate moments I once thought were ours. The image haunted me, and I couldn't escape it. I wanted to confront her again, to demand answers, but each time I opened my mouth, the words caught in my throat. I felt like a wounded animal, raw and vulnerable, battling the conflicting emotions of love and betrayal. I tried to push the thoughts away, convincing myself that we could work through this. After all, we had built a life together, shared dreams, and had 2 beautiful children. But reality was different. I was constantly reminded of the rift that had formed between us. Our home, once filled with laughter and love, now echoed with silence and tension. I could see the sadness in my children's eyes as they sensed the discord, and it broke my heart to think of the impact this would have on them. It felt like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, struggling to hold everything together while my own heart was crumbling. I began to question my worth, wondering if I hadn't been enough for her. What had I done wrong? Had I failed as a husband? Each thought only deepened my anguish, and I found myself spiraling further into despair. I sought solace in distractions, work, the gym, even mindless TV shows, anything to escape the emotional storm brewing inside me. But deep down, I knew I couldn't hide from the truth. The pain was relentless, and it whispered in my ear that I had to confront it, to face the reality of my situation. Acceptance was a battle I had yet to fight, and the scars of betrayal would linger long after the initial shock had faded. As the dust began to settle from the initial storm of betrayal, I was left grappling with the impact on my self-esteem. I had always considered myself a good husband and father, someone who prioritized his family above all else. Yet, with each passing day, I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew about my worth. The once unshakable foundation of my self-esteem now felt fragile and cracked, like a mirror shattered by an unseen hand. I couldn't shake the feeling of inadequacy. How had I not seen the signs? Was I so wrapped up in my own life that I failed to notice the growing distance between Megan and me? My mind was filled with self-doubt, replaying moments from our marriage, dissecting every interaction, every loving gesture, wondering where I had gone wrong. I felt like a failure, not just as a husband, but as a man. Friends and family would offer words of encouragement, telling me that it wasn't my fault, that I was deserving of love and respect. Yet, their reassurances felt hollow, echoes of a truth I struggled to accept. I watched my children play, their innocence reminding me of the joy I had once felt, but guilt washed over me, threatening to pull me under. What kind of example was I setting for them? The reflection I saw in the mirror was a shadow of the man I used to be. I avoided social gatherings, too ashamed to face people who knew my story. The laughter that once came easily felt forced, like an actor playing a role. I longed to feel whole again, to regain the confidence I had lost, but the specter of betrayal lingered in every corner of my mind. I began to isolate myself, thinking that maybe if I just retreated into my own world, the pain would eventually fade. But in reality, the longer I stayed in that dark place, the more it consumed me. It became clear that I had to confront these feelings head-on. If I ever hoped to heal and rebuild my life, I needed to find a way to reclaim my self-worth and understand that I was more than just my circumstances. The days stretched into weeks, and I found myself on an emotional roller coaster, each twist and turn pulling me into deeper depths of despair. One moment, I was overwhelmed by anger and resentment, replaying memories of Megan's laughter with him, feeling a hot wave of rage wash over me. The next, I would be engulfed by an unshakable sadness, mourning the loss of the love I thought we shared. It was a relentless cycle, leaving me exhausted and disoriented. At times, I would catch myself yearning for the moments we had together, the laughter, the shared dreams, and the intimacy that once defined our marriage. I longed for those memories, only to be hit by the cold reality of her betrayal. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air as I tried to stay afloat in a sea of conflicting emotions. The man I used to be, the strong, confident husband, seemed like a distant memory, and in his place stood a man filled with self-doubt and heartache. The emotional turmoil was exacerbated by the fact that I still had to be there for our children. I could see the concern in their eyes, their innocent souls sensing the tension in our home. I put on a brave face for them, forcing smiles and laughter while my heart felt heavy with pain. I wanted to protect them from the fallout of my broken marriage, but every interaction reminded me of my own shattered dreams. I often found myself questioning if I would ever find happiness again. Would I always be the husband whose wife cheated on him? The thought was suffocating. As I navigated through this emotional storm, I sought solace in journaling. Pouring my thoughts onto paper became a release, a way to untangle the chaotic emotions swirling inside me. In those quiet moments, I began to understand that I wasn't alone in my pain. Countless men had walked this path before me, and many would follow. I started to recognize that it was okay to feel hurt, to feel lost. Embracing my emotions, instead of shunning them, was a necessary step toward healing. I needed to allow myself to grieve not only the betrayal, but also the loss of the life I had envisioned. The road ahead felt daunting, but in those moments of reflection, I found the first flickers of hope, a glimmer of strength that whispered to me that I could rise from the ashes of this heartbreak. As the emotional turmoil continued to swirl within me, I reached a breaking point. I realized I couldn't navigate this storm alone. I needed to seek support from those who cared about me. It was a daunting decision, revealing my vulnerabilities to others, but I understood that I couldn't keep the pain bottled up any longer. It was time to open up and share my truth. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I sat down with my best friend Mike at our favorite bar. The atmosphere was a stark contrast to the heaviness in my heart. As I shared the painful details of my situation, how I discovered Megan's affair and the subsequent heartbreak, Mike listened intently, his expression a mix of empathy and disbelief. His support felt like a lifeline in that moment. "You deserve better, Ethan," he said, his voice steady. "You are a good man, and this isn't your fault." Hearing those words washed over me like a cool breeze on a hot summer day, soothing some of the ache within. It was a reminder that I was still worthy of love, even if it felt like my world had crumbled. In the following days, I confided in other friends and family members, slowly allowing them into the chaos of my life. Each conversation felt like a weight lifted, the burden of secrecy replaced by the warmth of connection. I heard stories of their own struggles, tales of heartbreak and resilience that reminded me I wasn't alone in this fight. However, with each shared story, I also faced the well-meaning but sometimes unhelpful advice. Some told me to fight for my marriage, while others encouraged me to leave and never look back. The conflicting opinions swirled around in my mind, leaving me more confused than before. What did I truly want? I found myself yearning for clarity, a path forward that felt right for me and my children. In those moments of shared vulnerability, I also realized something important. I needed to trust my instincts. The support of my friends and family was invaluable, but the decision ultimately lay with me. As I reflected on their insights, I felt a sense of empowerment creeping back into my heart. I began to understand that my journey to healing was uniquely mine, and I could blend their wisdom with my own feelings to carve a way forward. This newfound clarity didn't come overnight, but it set me on a path of introspection and growth. With each conversation, I felt a little more anchored in my reality, ready to face the next chapter of my life, even if it was fraught with uncertainty. After weeks of emotional turmoil and seeking support, I found myself at a crossroads, a moment that demanded clarity and courage. It was time for another confrontation with Megan, a chance to address the truth of our situation head-on. I felt a mix of dread and determination. I needed to know where we stood, not just for my sake, but for the sake of our children. One evening, I asked Megan to sit down with me. My heart raced as I prepared for the conversation, knowing that this was a pivotal moment in our lives. As we sat across from each other at the dining table, the weight of the unspoken words hung heavy in the air. I could see the tension in her posture, the way she avoided my gaze, and it sent my anxiety soaring. "I need to understand what happened," I began, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. "Why did you choose to betray our family? What were you looking for?" The words felt like a boulder rolling off my chest, both freeing and terrifying. Megan hesitated, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Ethan, I felt neglected after my promotion. I thought maybe I could find what I was missing with someone else," she admitted, her voice breaking. "It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. I never wanted to hurt you or the kids." Hearing her justification was like being thrust into icy waters. It made my blood boil and my heart ache simultaneously. I wanted to scream, to tell her how her actions had shattered our family, but instead, I took a deep breath, striving for composure. "I understand that you were feeling lost, but that doesn't excuse what you did," I replied, the hurt evident in my voice. "You didn't just betray me, you betrayed our family." The conversation spiraled into an emotional exchange, a back and forth of blame and regret. I could see the guilt etched on her face, but it did little to ease my pain. With each revelation, I realized that we were no longer the same couple who had promised to support one another through thick and thin. Our connection felt irreparably damaged, and I started to grasp the depth of the chasm that had formed between us. As the night wore on, I knew I had to make a decision. I could either choose to fight for our marriage, hoping for redemption, or I could step away and begin the painful process of healing. My heart longed for the love we once shared, but my mind echoed the harsh truth of our reality. After what felt like an eternity, I made my choice. "Megan, I can't continue living like this. I need to put our children first, and I need to think about my own well-being," I said, my voice trembling but resolute. "I think it's best if we separate. For now, I need to focus on healing and finding a way forward." In that moment, I felt a mixture of sadness and relief wash over me. I had made the hardest decision of my life, but it was also the first step toward reclaiming my sense of self. As we sat there, both of us aware that everything was changing, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. No matter how uncertain it seemed, the days following the confrontation were filled with a mix of relief and heartache. I had made the choice to leave, but it felt surreal, like I was watching my life unfold from a distance. The reality of separation loomed over me like a dark cloud, and I knew I had a long journey ahead, not just for myself, but for our children as well. In the immediate aftermath, I focused on creating a stable environment for the kids. I wanted them to feel safe and loved despite the chaos around us. We spent evenings together, playing games, watching movies, and talking about their feelings. I made it a point to reassure them that both their parents loved them deeply and that we would navigate this new path together. It was a delicate balance, trying to hold my own emotions in check while ensuring they felt secure. The decision to leave Megan also ignited a fire within me, urging me to reclaim my identity. I realized I had neglected my own passions and dreams while trying to be the perfect husband and father. I enrolled in a coding bootcamp to sharpen my skills and began developing web applications on the side. I poured my energy into this new venture, finding solace in creating something meaningful. Each line of code felt like a step toward rebuilding my self-esteem. Fitness also became a crucial part of my healing journey. I started hitting the gym regularly, rediscovering the strength I had once taken for granted. Lifting weights became a metaphor for my emotional state. I was pushing myself to become stronger, both physically and mentally. The endorphins lifted my spirits, and with each workout, I felt a little more like the man I used to be, one who was capable of overcoming challenges. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were nights when loneliness crept in, and I would find myself missing the familiarity of Megan's presence. The silence in the house was deafening, and I often had to remind myself of the reasons for my decision. It was a continuous battle between nostalgia and the reality of our situation. I realized that healing was not linear. There would be ups and downs along the way. Yet through the pain and the uncertainty, I began to feel a sense of empowerment. Choosing to leave was not just about escaping a toxic situation, it was about reclaiming my life, my dreams, and my happiness. I was slowly transforming my heartbreak into a catalyst for personal growth. Each day, I was learning to prioritize myself and my children, nurturing our bonds as we navigated this new chapter together. With each passing day, I discovered new layers of strength I never knew I possessed. The journey of healing was not without its challenges, but as I embraced the process, I began to cultivate a deeper understanding of myself. The initial heartbreak had felt insurmountable, but now it was transforming into a source of resilience. I made it a priority to engage in activities that nourished my spirit. I signed up for a local running club, where I found a supportive community that encouraged me to push my limits. The camaraderie among the members provided a sense of belonging I had longed for. Running became my escape, a way to clear my mind and channel my emotions into something positive. With every mile I conquered, I felt the weight of my past begin to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. In addition to physical fitness, I sought out therapy. It was a daunting step, but I understood that processing my emotions in a safe environment would be vital to my healing. My therapist helped me navigate the complexities of my feelings, anger, sadness, and ultimately, acceptance. Through guided sessions, I learned to confront my vulnerabilities, rather than hide from them. I began to realize that vulnerability was not a weakness. It was a strength that could lead to genuine healing. As I ventured further along this path, I also reconnected with old friends and pursued interests I had set aside during my marriage. I rediscovered my love for painting, allowing colors and brushes to express the emotions I often struggled to articulate. The creative outlet became a therapeutic release, enabling me to channel my pain into something beautiful. In this newfound freedom, I learned to embrace solitude. There were moments when I would sit quietly, reflecting on my journey, and for the first time, I felt a sense of peace within myself. The chaos of the past was slowly transforming into clarity, and I was beginning to accept that I could not change what had happened, but I could control how I moved forward. With time, I started to understand that healing was not about forgetting the past. It was about integrating those experiences into my identity. I was evolving, shedding the old layers of hurt and stepping into a version of myself that was more authentic and resilient. Each day was an opportunity to grow, to become a better father, a better friend, and ultimately, a better version of myself. The journey of healing was far from over, but I could feel the strength within me rising, a quiet determination that whispered I was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As the months rolled by, I found myself emerging from the shadows of heartbreak, ready to explore the possibility of love once more. The journey of healing had opened my heart to new experiences, and while I had been cautious, a part of me longed for connection. It was a delicate balance, embracing the lessons from my past while allowing myself the chance to find happiness again. One evening, I attended a charity event hosted by a mutual friend. I had initially hesitated, unsure if I was ready for socializing, but I knew it was essential to put myself out there. As I walked into the bustling venue, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. That's when I noticed her, Emma. She had a warm smile that radiated kindness, and her laughter was infectious. As the evening progressed, we found ourselves drawn to each other in conversation. She was genuine, asking about my life and my passions. I shared snippets of my journey, feeling a spark of connection that had eluded me for so long. It was refreshing to speak with someone who didn't know the complexities of my past. She was just interested in the person I was becoming. Over the following weeks, our connection deepened. Emma embraced my children as if they were her own, never forcing anything but allowing the bond to grow organically. I marveled at how effortlessly she engaged with them, making them laugh and feel at ease. Watching her interact with my kids brought a sense of joy I hadn't anticipated. It felt as though a new family was slowly coming together. However, with every beautiful moment came a whisper of fear. I grappled with insecurities from my past, questioning whether I was ready to open my heart again. Would I be able to trust? Would I be able to protect my children from potential heartbreak? The doubts lingered, but with Emma, I found a sense of safety that slowly chipped away at my fears. We would often go on family outings, creating memories filled with laughter and love. I watched as my kids flourished in Emma's presence, their joy a testament to the love we were cultivating. Each day felt like a step forward, building a foundation rooted in understanding and shared values. Through it all, I learned that opening my heart again didn't mean forgetting the past. Instead, it was about acknowledging my experiences and allowing them to shape me into someone who appreciated love even more deeply. Emma had shown me that love could be rekindled, that it was possible to find happiness without erasing the memories of what had come before. As our relationship blossomed, I felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. I understood that while the road had been fraught with challenges, it had led me to this moment, a chance to embrace love, to build a life filled with warmth, and to create a true family unit, united in laughter and connection. As time passed, our lives began to intertwine in beautiful and unexpected ways. The connection I had with Emma blossomed into a deep, abiding love, and our families merged into something uniquely ours. The initial hesitation I felt about blending our lives faded as I witnessed the joy our new dynamic brought to my children. It was like watching a tapestry being woven, each thread representing a shared experience, a moment of laughter, or a gentle embrace. We made a conscious effort to establish traditions that celebrated our newly formed family. Weekend outings became our norm, exploring local parks, embarking on hiking adventures, or simply enjoying cozy movie nights at home. I found immense joy in creating memories that would define our family, laying the groundwork for a future filled with love and togetherness. One Saturday, we organized a picnic in the park. The sun shone brightly, and the air was filled with laughter as we played games and shared stories. I watched as my kids and Emma's children bonded over silly antics, their laughter echoing through the trees. In those moments, I realized that our blended family was not just about coexisting. It was about thriving together, supporting one another as we navigated life's ups and downs. However, the journey was not without its challenges. There were moments of adjustment where the kids had to navigate the complexities of sharing their time between two families. I was acutely aware of their feelings, ensuring we communicated openly about any frustrations or insecurities. Emma and I worked together to create a safe space where everyone felt heard and valued. Gradually, the bonds deepened. I observed how Emma's nurturing nature complemented my parenting style, creating a harmonious environment for the kids. They began to see her not just as my partner, but as an integral part of their lives. It was a gradual process, but with each passing day, the sense of belonging grew stronger. In the evenings, We would sit around the dinner table, laughter echoing off the walls as we shared our highs and lows of the day. The warmth of those shared meals filled our home with a sense of belonging that I had longed for. My heart swelled with gratitude as I realized how far we had come from the darkness of my past. Our journey toward creating a blended family was a testament to resilience and love. Each challenge we faced became an opportunity for growth, and through open communication and shared experiences, we built a foundation of trust and understanding. I was no longer just a man navigating the aftermath of betrayal. I was a father and a partner, deeply invested in the happiness of my family. As I watched my children flourish, surrounded by love and acceptance, I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. We had transformed our lives into something beautiful, a blended family rooted in love, support, and shared dreams. Together, we created a new narrative, one that honored the past while embracing the joy of the present and the promise of the future. As the months turned into years, the scars of my past began to fade, replaced by the vibrant colors of a new life filled with hope and love. I looked back on my journey and felt a sense of gratitude for the struggles that had shaped me into the person I had become. Each experience, every heartbreak and moment of uncertainty, had led me to this very moment where happiness and fulfillment resided. With Emma by my side and our blended family thriving, I began to dream again. I envisioned a future filled with adventures, laughter, and a sense of belonging. Together, we made plans for vacations, exploring new places and creating lasting memories as a family. The thought of embarking on new adventures filled me with excitement, and for the first time in a long while, I felt the weight of fear and doubt lift from my shoulders. One evening, as we sat around the fire pit in our backyard, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories, I turned to Emma and said, "I can't believe how far we've come. Our family feels so complete." The warmth of the fire mirrored the warmth in my heart, and I was overwhelmed by the realization that we had built something beautiful together. In those moments, I also understood the importance of nurturing our relationship as partners. Emma and I made it a priority to have date nights, even if it was just a simple dinner at home after the kids were asleep. These moments allowed us to reconnect and strengthen our bond, reminding us that our love was the foundation upon which our family stood. As I watched my children grow, I felt an immense sense of pride in the individuals they were becoming. They thrived in an environment filled with love, and I marveled at how our experiences had brought us closer together. I knew that while life would always present challenges, we had the tools to face them as a united front. One day, while sitting on the porch, I reflected on the life I had envisioned during the darkest days of my separation from Megan. I had feared I would never find happiness again, that my dreams of a loving family were shattered. But here I was, surrounded by laughter and love, embracing each day as a gift. The path had not been easy, but it had led me to a life more fulfilling than I could have ever imagined. In that moment of reflection, I felt a profound sense of peace. I had come to understand that life's challenges were not meant to break us, but to shape us into who we were meant to be. As we looked ahead, I felt a renewed commitment to creating a future filled with love, understanding, and endless possibilities. The journey had been an emotional roller coaster, but it was a ride I would never trade for anything. I embraced each day as a chance to grow, to love, and to cherish the beautiful family we had created together. With open hearts and hands ready to face whatever lay ahead, we stepped into the future, ready to embrace new beginnings, to dream big, and to build a life filled with joy and connection. Looking back, I can hardly recognize the man I once was, the husband crushed by betrayal, the father navigating the complexities of heartbreak. Each phase of my journey has shaped me into a stronger, more resilient individual. I have come to embrace the belief that life's challenges are not just obstacles, they are opportunities for growth, teaching us valuable lessons that lead us toward the paths we are truly meant to follow. As I stand on the threshold of this new chapter, I realize that I have redefined my life in ways I never thought possible. With Emma and my children by my side, I've built a family rooted in love, respect, and understanding. Our home is filled with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the loneliness that once engulfed me. I am grateful for the lessons learned and the strength gained through the trials I faced. I've also come to understand the importance of communication and trust in relationships. Emma and I prioritize open dialogue, ensuring we support one another through life's ups and downs. It's a refreshing dynamic, one that fosters growth for both of us. Each day, I work to be a better partner and father, learning from my past to create a more fulfilling present. The journey of healing has taught me that self-worth is not dictated by another's actions, but is an intrinsic part of who we are. I've invested time in my passions, from business ventures to personal pursuits, discovering new facets of myself along the way. The confidence I've regained fuels my desire to keep evolving and pushing boundaries. As I reflect on our family's journey, I can't help but feel hopeful for the future. We have plans to travel, explore new cultures, and embrace life's adventures together. With Emma and my children, I feel a sense of completeness that I never thought I would experience again. Each day is a new canvas, and we are the artists of our own lives, painting it with memories, love, and joy. And while I know the road ahead may have its challenges, I no longer fear them. Instead, I see them as opportunities for growth, chances to bond with my family, to overcome obstacles together, and to continue writing our story of resilience. In the end, my experience with betrayal became the catalyst for a life redefined, one where love, laughter, and connection reign. I have learned to cherish every moment and embrace the beautiful, chaotic journey that life offers. Together, we stand ready to face whatever the future holds, united in love and commitment, grateful for the past, but excited for the endless possibilities that await us.